Hi, my name is Hemant. I'm from SAP Labs Palo Alto. Today we are gonna discuss about adding custom chart into Lumira SDK. I'm gonna show you the example which I'm gonna explain to you. So I'm just using an existing Excel sheet. I'm just loading it, and you can see the custom chart, Hello SAP chart over there. Once I click it, it just shows you the a simple label called Hello SAP. It's like just like an Hello World program which shows you the just a simple label. So if I drag something onto the feeder, it actually removes the particular message. So this is a very basic example. Right now what I would like to show you is how actually we can go ahead and create something like this. So in order to do that, we need to open SAP Lumira installation folder, and inside that we have desktop folder, and inside the chart extensions folder, we need to create a new folder called which.ext.hello.sap. And inside this folder, we need to create three items. One is the libs folder, and the other one is the feed definitions.xml and the manifest file. So we need three items in total. So I'm going to use an existing example which I created before. So I'll be using the manifest file copy and pasted, and even the feed definitions file copied and pasted. We'll go through each and every file, what is inside these files. So let me open up the manifest file. So in the manifest file, you can see many attributes over there: the ID, the name of this chart, and even the author who created it, and even the load path of the file which, or the script file which is being used to create the custom chart. So, and then inside the libs folder, what we need to have is the have a JavaScript file which has the exact name as mentioned in here in the load path attribute here. So let me go ahead and create a new JavaScript file which is named as this.ext.samples.hellosap.vi version.js. So once I do that, I think we are almost done with the manifest file. It's a very basic template, and it is very easy to create. And now we'll go to the feed definitions XML. Right now we have here only one feed mentioned here, since I would like to keep the example a very basic one and a very simple one. So I'm having a measure, and we don't have any dimensions right now. And here the IDs should be so unique across different charts, because Lumira loads all the charts at one point at one time, and it needs different IDs to identify the definitions. So here I have a measure called values, whose tag is my measure, and it can allow only up to one field set. And the design view placement is sizes. That means when drag and drop a measure, it will considered as a size based measure. And the name of the measure value group ID is mg1. So now we have one measure, and we have done with the manifest, and we are done with the feed definitions. Yeah, let's go into libs folder and open the JavaScript file. Here we need to do like four things. One is the you know definition of the feeds, and the modules, and the chart definition, and then the function definition, or the UI function definition. So we need to do four things here in this particular JavaScript file. Let's see how I'm going to create all these four things into this file. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the existing sample which I have created before, so that it makes it quicker. So here is the file, and here is the previous file, and from this file we'll be copying it into our JavaScript file. So here is a measure called my measure feed. I'll be copying and pasting it in here. You can see that the ID is is identical to the one ID which we have defined in the feed definitions XML file. So it should match 100%, and the name, irrespective of the name, the ID should match. So whatever the name is mentioned, that will be shown on the Lumira UI. So these are the type measure, and it allows only one feed to be dropped onto it, or one field to be dropped onto it. So the message group index, measure group index is one. So we have created the feed. Now we'll go ahead and create the module. So let me copy the module part and paste it here. So from here you can see that the module variable is created, and it has an ID called ext samples hello sap.plot, and it has various attributes which are all required to be mentioned. And you can see that we have the feeds, and we have the function, and we are registering this module. So you can see that the my measure feed is being added to the feeds attribute of the module part, and that's how multiple feeds can be added later on if you add more feeds into this particular chart. And this particular UI function, SAP chart, we should write that function which can create the UI of the chart using the data that is getting feeded from the Lumira. So after this module definition, we need to register the module with SAP Visual Manifest. And once it is done, we'll go ahead and get the chart definition from the file. So I'm going to copy it and paste it in here. So here is the chart definition. So inside the chart definition, you can see that we have different attributes mentioned which are all mandatory and required. So in here you can find the module ID as hello sap.plot, hello sap.plot, the same thing which we mentioned above in the module definition. So the same module definition should be used in the chart definition. And when Lumira loads, actually it picks the chart definition first, and it tries to identify the module definition. And inside the module definition, it tries to identify the fields and the function which is being used to create the UI. So once it identifies the fields, it tries to figure out what kind of feed it is, and how many fields were allowed to be dropped onto it, and everything can be figured out based on these definitions. So for the hello SAP chart function, we need to create that function in this particular file in order to get. So let me go ahead and create the hello SAP chart function. So from this file, I'll just copy and paste the function. So there we go. I pasted it, and you can see that the same function name is being used here. So this function is the function where some default attributes or default parameters are mentioned, like the data, width, height, ID, color palette, shape palette, and the properties. All these fields will be loaded dynamically by the Lumira itself. So we no need to pass any information to these fields, because these are the fields which were used by Lumira to push information from Lumira. So we'll get the data from Lumira, we'll get the width, height, ID, color palette, and everything from the Lumira. Once we get it, we use all these parameters inside the chart function here. So we have this template, and we should always use only this particular format, because Lumira only identifies this kind of format where you return the chart and you have the function for the chart and you have the selection dot each of the function. So it's all mandatory and is required. And even if you observe, we have D3 dot select of this dot select of g dot this dot remove. That means it indicates that whatever we create, we should create inside this particular uh, the SVG element Z tag. So we have the canvas here. So on top of the canvas, we will be creating our UI. So whatever you would like to create or display on the chart, all that kind of logic will go on top of the canvas. That means everything will be appended to the canvas. So right now here I am appending a simple text element which has a text called hello SAP to the canvas element with a font size of 34. So whatever I append here, that will be displayed on the UI. So I'm opening the same bullet data Excel sheet and I click on acquire and enrich all and then visualize. Click on the hello SAP chart. Here we go. We can see the hello SAP label here. And when we drag something onto the values, because it's a minimum one field should be dropped onto the values, that warning message will be displayed to us all the time. So now we have the very basic label in here. What I would like to show is, apart from the label, is whatever the field that we are dragging and dropping onto the values uh, feeder here. I would like to display all the values as a string or a comma separated values on the chart UI, so that you can understand how the data can be converted or parsed and can be displayed on the chart, or can be used uh, as a feed for the chart in the future. So let me go ahead and edit some little bit of code. So here we have two existing methods which are used. Convert set and convert measure set are the two functions which are used to convert the measures and the dimensions from Lumira into a proper formatted arrays, so that we can just actually loop through the arrays and retrieve information from those arrays. So let me copy these functions into my sample file. Let's open down a little bit, and inside this each function I'm gonna paste this method. So we have these two methods, convert dimensions and convert measure set, into our code now. So right now we have only one measure with us. We don't have any dimensions. So that means we have only one raw measure. Right now in this particular pasted code, you can see multiple measures and dimensions. So let me go ahead and remove the dimension. I'm removing the other ones too. In the conversion of the dimension, I'll be keeping only the measure one. So now you can see here that we have only one measure, and we are maxing it through data.gather get measure value group data by idx of 0, which gives me the raw measure one, and I'll be converting the raw measure into a meaningful measure one called ms1. So here is the for loop where I equal to 0, I less than ms1 dot length I plus plus. I'm gonna declare a variable called var my string or my str. Right now it's not defined, so I'll give my str plus equal to ms1 of 0, the data of 0 or 5, because that's the only way we can access the cell value. So this is all a standard way of accessing information, because sometimes each of the measure fields can have multiple fields dropped onto the same measure field. So that is the reason we have data of 0, data of 1 or something like that. So now I'm gonna replace the hello SAP label with the values which we are getting in the loop. So my values colon space and plus my str. So right now I didn't define my or initialize my str string. Let's see what I'm gonna get. Let's save this and let's see how it is gonna come up in the UI. Restart the Lumira. Yeah, I will be opening the same Excel file which we used before. Click on acquire and then enrich all and then the visualize. You can see that here we have some values. So we would be able to see those values on the chart. See here, we have my values undefined. Since my string was not defined, it was giving something like this. So when I drag and drop the low field onto the values measure, it was giving me undefined and a 421. So which means that the values were summed up. So all the low values were summed up, and that's what is getting displayed there. If we would have had a uh, dimension, then we would have been able to see different values separately. So since we don't have a dimension, all the values will be aggregated and the default aggregation is sum. So we can see the sum value here. So I'm just defining it as an empty string, and then I just try to restart it. So the chart, this time it doesn't show anything like undefined or something, and when I drag and drop, it clearly shows the summed up value. And what we can do is actually we can see the sum of the values of all threshold and everything. Now let's split the view and see what is it showing. Now 628 of the threshold is like 195 plus 240 plus 190 plus 3 is, yeah, it's 628. 3 plus 5 is 8, yeah. So threshold we, and we let's try it with something else like value 1, 150 plus 144, 294 plus 394, 395. Let's drag and drop value 1 and it should come at 394. Oh, see, that means we are getting the values in a proper way, but they're getting summed up, so you can't see them as separate values. So we were able to actually get the information from SAP Lumira feeder, and we were able to show it in the chart. So this is a very basic example of retrieving measures. So what we can do is we can add a dimension and we can see it in a much better way. So thank you for watching this video.